In my opinion, there's a very particular way to approach a rotation in a card game. And really what it means is that you gotta let go of the past and you have to embrace the future. And today I'm going to be talking about the cards that I really hope don't see the reprint sheet in Fabled. Let's get into it. Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. That's right. The wonderful one cost, 1/2, 1 lore with Singer 3 has absolutely dominated the format since her existence. Now, it is mostly about the songs that you can sing, which is very, very fair. However, I think Cinderella really just puts a complete damper on design space for Disney Lorcana. And truthfully, because of that, we really would like some cool songs back in Disney Lorcana. If you guys honestly take a good hard look at some of the cards that have been printed since set 2 with Strength of a Raging Fire and Let the Storm Rage On, well, you're going to find a bunch of cards that aren't the best things to be sung. They're really not that fun. They're not nearly as cool and interactive. And I think it's because of Cinderella that is just true. Also, there are some other offenders to this as well, but Cinderella was absolutely the first. So while I love this ballroom sensation, while I played her in multiple Disney Lorcana challenges, for me, it's time to let her go, and I hope she does not see that uncut sheet of reprints in Fabled. Madame Mim Fox, I believe, was a card that was completely ahead of her time. The 3-cost inkable, 4 strength, 3 willpower, 1 lore, with the ability Chasing the Rabbit. When you play this character, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand, and she has Rush. When this card was printed in Rise of the Floodborn, around the time before we had seen any official organized play, before set championships, before Disney Lorcana challenges, this card was absolutely reaping and sowing the format. She basically told you, hey, you cannot play a character with less than 2 strength and turn it sideways. Hey, you really have to find ways to get more than 4 willpower on a character, because the ability for Madame Mim to pick up a character of yours, to replay it, specifically ones that already gave you an ability, was just too powerful for the format. This really just took out so many possible options for so very long. Now, I truly think the format that we're about to be playing in this rotational format, is very much going to be about characters. Challenging and leaving damage on the table is going to be all over the place, left and right. If we have a character like Madame Mim Fox back into the format, she's just going to really take away so many options that we've had forever but could never play because of her. I think that right now this is not the tool that Amethyst needs. I think if you really take a hard look at the different characters and the different dual links that the Ruby Amethyst decks has and things like that, and even Amethyst Sapphire, you could see that this card in them is just too good. So because of that, just like I said, probably in January of 2024. Yeah, it's been that long. We've been making content that long. I think that Madame Mim Fox was way too powerful for the format in sets 1 and 2. And I think that in the rotational format, she'd be even more insane. So for that, see you later, Madame Mim. Hope we don't get to see it anytime soon. But hey, there's always infinity. Quick shout out to our wonderful sponsors, Heavy Play. If you're looking to upgrade your game, definitely go and check out heavyplay.com/TFM10. And if you want to get 10% off on all your orders, definitely hit that code for TFM10 at checkout. That's right. Shout out to Heavy Play. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for the sponsor. But if you guys really are looking at it, the best deck boxes, in my opinion, that you can have are Heavy Play. Definitely check them out and definitely hit up TFM10 at checkout. So, of course, another wonderful character that I think needs to absolutely stay in Infinity, Diablo, the Devoted Herald. The 3-cost uninkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower, and 1 lore. With Shift, discard an action card, Evasive, and circle far and wide during each opponent's turn. Whenever they draw a card while this character is exerted, you may draw a card. Listen, guys, it's really clean. It's really, really simple. At the end of the day, I can't even remember how many DLCs this card has won at this point. It's that good. It's that powerful. It's got to go. We never want to see this card ever again. I think because it came out in Ursula's Return, which was set 4, means that we get to play with it for the shortest period of time than most of the cards that we're kind of discussing on this list. But it's with like really warranted reasoning. The idea that this card is so powerful and so demanding and so meta warping, the fact that we only got it for a year in the standard rotation, I think is something that you can kind of see moving forward. And it's really what I expect moving forward. Now, I kind of feel like set 12 will be about the same. Sets 4, maybe not set 8 didn't feel it as much, and I think that's because of the upcoming rotation feeling that they didn't really want to overpower sets 1 through 8, so that's why set 8 doesn't feel as powerful. But in the rotation format, set 8 does look pretty good and pretty promising, and we'll be getting to that in another video. So if you do like content like that, make sure you hit the like button here, subscribe for the next video. But Diablo, at the end of the day, listen, shout out to Ryan Miles, who had a wonderful, argument for why this card should be banned. It's the same reason why I think this card cannot exist in the rotation format, because it's already had a bit of moment in the sun. We just don't need any more of it, guys. It's so powerful, so ridiculous. The current removal in the format is so minimum, if I'm being honest. So any world where you put this card into a format with even less removal than it currently has, it's just going to dominate the format. We really want to get away. We got to put stuff in the past, move forward, and embrace the future. And that's definitely a card. If you ask me, Diablo David Herald, see you later. Hope I never, ever see you again. So much to the point where, I hope it's not even good in Infinity. But it probably will be. Maui Hero to All. The 5-cost inkable, 6 strength, 5 willpower with Rush and Reckless. Yep, pretty much this card is the ultimate end-all be-all to character removal in Disney Lorcana. Now, while there is not that many Mauis still running around in the format, the idea that it took a whole 2 years for that to happen is enough to say about it in itself. Any deck that was prominent for Ruby, if I'm being completely honest. So because of that, I think moving forward into a very character-focused format, you can't start that type of format with the absolute best removal of that piece. So I think removing Maui opens up so much more potential for so many more characters just by saying, hey, you don't have the auto-include of Maui Hero to All. And I think that's just the real takeaway for the rotation format. Right now, if you really look at it, it's very, very character-focused. Before the reprints get announced and we can see everything that's coming, there's not even that many songs in the format. So it is definitely getting away from the really powerful version of Disney Lorcana that we've come to, know. And hey, listen, I love it too. I love singing songs. But when you take a look at that and you really start saying, what is this format about? It's about challenging. It's about characters and glimmers and glimmer on glimmer actions. So that's really what we're looking for right now. And Maui is just the best, above all else. So with Maui is included in rotation, it's just going to take away so many of the other potential characters out there that would have a home in rotation format. So for once, I love Maui. I think that he is very well designed, but I would rather not see Maui included in rotation, and even so much say that I would rather see Be Prepared, if I'm being completely honest. But let's get back to the list. Mcduck Manor. The 4-cost, 1 strength, 9 willpower, 2 lore location for Sapphire, and if I never ever have to sit across from this card again, I will be a much more happy Disney Lorcana player. That's right. This card, I think in a format even that's character focused, is probably just too good. While there are a lot of, better characters for challenging, much less removal to protect the manor, also known as the protect the castle mechanic that we have seen all the way since set 3 and just developed on further and further as the game went on, I believe the Mcduck Manor is still probably too good and very easily focused to be too good in a rotation format. So therefore, I kind of hope that Mcduck Manor does not come back. But if this is the first card on this list that I could see being reprinted, it definitely is this one. And hopefully I'm wrong. I really hope that this one doesn't get reprinted because I just think it's too good. And I've seen way too many games won because of a Mcduck Manor already. I really want to start focusing on some other locations in the near future. Oh, as the biggest fan of Frozen you could ever imagine, the wonderful Into the Unknown, Let It Go, Let the Storm Rage On. That's right, we are singing all of it but this card needs to be banished forever. Let the Storm Rage on, the 3-cost uninkable, deal 2 damage to chosen character and draw a card is simply too good for Disney Lorcana. This card has been abused since the moment it has been released. Obviously, Cinderella and Diablo are two of the biggest culprits, along with Belle as well. But this card is certainly a card I just do not want to see in rotation. Again, I think that in order for other songs to become playable, for the true balance mechanic of Disney Lorcana, when you really think about that, I believe that in sets 1 and 2, they really, they were teetering, right? They were teetering the line of like, what is too good, what is not good enough. And I think that it's very clear in the songs that we chose that, through the metagame of what they were. But I believe Let the Storm Rage On is just too good. And even in a world where we don't have 1-cost singers anymore that have Singer 3, which let's hope we don't anytime soon, if I'm being completely honest. I just don't want to see them. But that breaker point of doing 2 damage and then drawing the card to replace itself, all for the low cost of exerting a character, it's just too good. And I think that right now, if you want to be this like glimmer on glimmer action, then we need to get away from songs that are just replacing themselves and removing a character from the game. It's one thing with cards like Heffalumps, I can't think of any more right now, but those cards that just says, hey, do something that like mechanically helps you, but you also draw a card. I'm Still Here is another example to give resist and things like that. I think those cards are the best way to replace themselves because they don't directly remove a card from the game. Of course, unless if it's an illusion, which, plenty of to go forward. But I think Let the Storm Rage On, removing a card, being played for free and replacing itself, it just kind of broke the barrier on like what a real good song is. And I think because of that, we just got to remove on past it. Merlin Rabbit. The 4-cost uninkable, 2-strength, 3 willpower, and 1 lore with the ability Hoppity Hip. When you play this character and he leaves play, you may draw a card. I think in this new format, if you really take a good look at it, you'll find that drawing cards is pretty hard to come by. And even in a world where there aren't that many characters like Madame Mim to kind of replay and bounce this character, I still think that the 4-cost 2/3 that draws you 2 cards and has the ability to sing songs is probably still way too powerful for the format. And again, he's also one of the more iconic cards in set 1 through 8 core constructed. And because of that, I just think it's time to move on. I think that we really need to start telling the stories of new characters and giving other characters the ability to see play. The moment you reprint Merlin Rabbit, it just kind of takes the wind out of the sails of so many other options for the rotational format. So while I love the Rabbit and I have played him more times than I can ever imagine since his release in Rise of the Floodborn, and this is just the perfect example of a card that is so very good that in order to really make room, it took so very long. There's still versions of decks, whether it's Ruby Amethyst or Amethyst Steel, that will play this card over its potential other options. I'm looking to move forward in a world where that is just not true anymore, and we can really start to shine the light on other cards within the format. Thank you for your services, Merlin Rabbit, and to infinity and beyond. Ursula, Deceiver of All. The 3-cost inkable, 2-strength, 3 willpower, 1 lore with the ability What a Deal. Whenever this character sings a song, you may play a song again from your discard for free, then put it on the bottom of your deck. Much like Cinderella Ballroom Sensation, I believe that since Ursula Deceiver of All was printed, the ability to print good songs that cost 3 or less was very much affected by this card. Now, this did come out in set 3, but by then we had already had all of the best possible songs that you could imagine anyway. So moving on from that is so difficult. In the last 5-6 sets that have been released, we really just haven't had the songs that are ideal for you to play because I think of cards, again, like Deceiver of All. So with that, with the removal of her, we can kind of move on and start printing some power in songs again. I really love the song mechanic, and I think that the characters that abuse it the most is why we haven't seen good ones since. So because of that, I love the Ursula. I love her. I've sung so many songs for this card. She has been a setup for so many different things. She's won several Disney Lorcana challenges. I think at the end of the day, it is time to say goodbye. Thank you for your services once again. and we hope to see you in infinity. Now, going into the format, I think the key takeaway right now is to understand there are 0 ways to wipe a board entirely. There is no Be Prepared. There is no Grab Your Swords. There is no Under the Sea. There is no Sisu. That's right. That's the next card on this list, guys. Sisu, Empowered Sibling. The 8-cost uninkable, 5 strength, 4 willpower, 3 lore, with Shift 6 and the ability I Got This. When you play this character, banish all opposing characters with 2 strength or less. Now, while I definitely believe, I'm a firm believer that we need a board wipe. That has to happen, but it cannot be Sisu. She's just too powerful. She's too strong. The ability to wipe your opponent's board and have a 3 lore character in play, way too good. I'm not even positive there are any Sisus to shift onto in the current format, but if there is literally any, this card just becomes that much more powerful. So because of that, I'm really hoping we move on from this. I think this card's way too good, way too strong, and just like way too dominant. And we've seen it win way too many different games. Like, yes, in most cases, you see a game won by a Mcduck Manor or by a Tamatoa and things like that. But the real hard truth is that Sisu is the only reason why those cards could even be in a position to win the game. Lucky Dime, the 7-cost uninkable sapphire item with the ability number 1. Exert and pay 2. Choose a character of yours and gain lore equal to their lore. I think it's safe to say that since the printing of this card, Disney Lorcana has never really been the same. I believe that this card specifically breaks all of the rules that Disney Lorcana ever really wanted to stand by. The idea that they wanted characters to go on quest, to gain lore, to get to 20 was such a big deal. And they thought maybe at a time like, oh, 7 costs uninkable, that's enough of a reason why this card could just be like a fun card to include in fun formats. What they probably didn't realize at the time is that this card was so very dominant that it would end up being probably one of the most hated cards in Disney Lorcana. And I know there's a bunch of them. I know that we can really make a list of some of those cards that we really truly hate. But for me, Lucky Dime is definitely like in the top 3, and it's not even close. Mostly because you can play an entire game playing defense for like 13 turns, and then all of a sudden you go from 20 or from 0 to 20 with just a turn because of a Lucky Dime. And I think that that is one of the most unhealthy play lines in Disney Lorcana. I completely understand why people do it. I understand why it can be fun. I understand why it fits the mold for so many different players. But for me, this card doesn't have a place in Disney Lorcana. I think I could have made several reasons why it should have been banned to begin with. So I truly hope of all the cards on this list that Lucky Dime is the card that certainly does not get reprinted in Fabled. Okay. Rapunzel, Gifted with Healing. The 4-cost inkable, 1 strength, 5 willpower, 2 lore, with the ability Gleam and Glow. When you play this character, remove up to 3 damage from one of your characters, draw a card for each 1 damage removed this way. Okay, so Rapunzel Gifted with Healing. Yeah, listen, guys, it's just the most insane card in Disney Lorcana. And when you look at the rotation format, I think that if this card exists in it, it'll just be the absolute best card in the game, and it probably won't be close. Right now, the entire format is shaped around characters challenging. It's the only way, or the only efficient way, as the scope looks at it right now, to remove characters from the game. So when you start thinking about that and start really looking at all the characters and things that are going to happen in the format, you look at Rapunzel and you say, if this card exists, Amber will just be above and beyond the best thing ever. It's not even close. Not only is that true, but when you look at cards like Daisy Duck and Tiana, these 1/4s that will very easily see play, and there's a lot of other options if I'm being honest as well. But when you really take a hard look, if Rapunzel exists, I don't think it's close. I think Amber is the best ink by a large margin, just because it will have some of the best characters, some of the best ways to gain lores, some of the best ways to cheat characters, and the best way to draw cards. Because of that alone, I simply do not think that Rapunzel can be reprinted. So I know it's hard to believe. I know the identity of Amber will be drastically changed by the removal of Rapunzel, but it's very clear to me that this card simply cannot exist in a rotation powered down format. I think if it does, Disney Lorcana will not be in a healthy place. I think that she'll be way too dominant, way too powerful, and most of the games will just come down to, did I or did I not hit my Rapunzel? I think Disney Lorcana is about to change forever. We're about a month away from the release of Fabled and the first rotation format. And I know that that's scary. I know that it's crazy. But the truth is that the 11 cards I listed on this format, they have been dominant since the moment they were printed. They have always been a factor in the Disney Lorcana metagame. So when you talk about rotations, you need to talk about change. You need to talk about the willingness to let go of the past to create the path to the future. And because of that, I believe these 11 cards are iconic. They truly are. Any one of these cards in the current rotation format will be one of the best cards in the format because it's already one of the best cards in sets 1 through 8. When you take away 4 sets of power and you leave any of these cards in, you just create these moments that are just way too good and way too strong. So for me, I think that they have to go. We have to let them go by, and we have to just embrace the future of saying, hey, okay, what next man up attitude? What cards will come out next that will truly make this game better? That's where I'm at. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you smash the like button for me. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe. If you think it's informative, share with your friends. And of course, as always, don't forget to check us out on Metafy.